We may make history today. If Steve gets out the door before T-Rex, this will be a first. You should have known that was going to happen. Steve is like, what did I do? 43 degrees at 10 o'clock on Wednesday, November 27th. It is the day before Thanksgiving. And Accurite says there might be a rain shower around. Well, no, there was, but there's not today. It's a dry day in New England. Really interesting weather. Picked up another batch of rain yesterday. Got me to about 3 inches in 1 week. What drought. And now clouds off to the north. You don't usually see that. The day after rain goes by, usually you see clearing from the north or cold air advection clouds, but there are no cold air advection clouds because the weather's not actually behaving normal. Have on my noise canceling wireless lavalier, so hopefully the wind is not causing too much of a problem. The wind, the surface map this morning, note the wind is not really from the north or northwest, it's from the west and even southwest. Temperatures did get down cold enough last night, so there were some frosty spots and some icy spots from the leftover rain from yesterday. How much rain yesterday? Well, I don't know if I believe this, but I mean, Coco Raz, weather geeks, weather watchers are usually pretty accurate. So it looks like 0.8 in Osterville yesterday on Cape Cod for the wind. There must have been some convection with the front that came through. I know here yesterday, every time I thought it was going to stop raining, it kept going. It was definitely raining twice as long as I thought it would. The Boston area, generally a third of an inch to a half an inch. And then another kind of sad, soggy surprise is how much rain fell in northern Vermont. We picked up more than 0.6 of an inch of rain on top of that few inches of snow we got over the weekend. It wasn't a meltdown, so that snow got really wet, and now up high it's freezing, but down low it's not really freezing. Here's the Mount Washington Auto Road profile this morning in the 20s down to about, 4,000 feet, but then still in the mid-30s at 1,600 feet. And you really cannot make snow unless it's really dry air with the temperature in the mid-30s. So I looked at some of the cams. J Peak, you can tell that it got saturated there, and there's still some snow on the ground. And the same thing at Mount Mansfield. I mean, the tops of these mountains are full on winter. But at the base this morning, sadly, at Mount Mansfield, it's still too warm for snowmaking at the base area, and stow will not open until you get a solid foot of snow that can be groomed right down to the base of the Forerunner and the base of Sunrise. So we're on hold for opening day at Stowe, and then these other mountains that have separate lifts way up top, Killington, Sunday River, places like that are doing well, and there's probably going to be a bunch more coming online. And especially with the snowstorm in the forecast, right? There's a snowstorm in the forecast. You probably can't see the rainbow-like effect happening with my wet branches here on the Alberta spruce, right? So I did not get to a freeze this morning that I know of, but Brian took some awesome shots this morning in Mansfield, where it did rain close to a third of an inch yesterday, and then it froze this morning. And Brian got out there and looking really Thanksgiving-like, like it is Thanksgiving. And thank you for sharing these beautiful photographs, Brian. Very nice. How much rain did I get at my house? Walk over here and talk about, what else do I want to talk about? This fast-moving system, I guess we can look at the satellite, and this is really kind of a wave on a front that's racing across the middle of the nation. Snow in Colorado, and then rain into Missouri. And that's what's going to be coming over us, a really dynamic, fast-moving wave of low pressure with rain and snow tomorrow. So yeah, I think I overachieved here. I was expecting a quarter inch or less, and I got 0.33, so that gets me to just shy of 3 inches in the last week. And I did put the garden to bed. Notice there are no tomatoes left on there, and the red those hot peppers are still there. We'll see that in more in a few minutes. So the problem with this storm is that instead of high pressure coming in behind what happened yesterday, we have low pressure in Canada, and the high pressure system is off to our south. I say it's a very fronty map, and here is the map with that low to the north. It's 980 something, so that's counterclockwise circulation that wants to bring in warm southwesterly winds, but it's not warm. It's a kind of cold, old high that's off to the south. And look at all those fronts, and about a 1021 high over the mid-Atlantic states. So that's where our air is coming from, the mid-Atlantic states. And it's just barely cold enough that our Thanksgiving system tomorrow is going to be elevation snow. It's so dynamic, and it's got so much moisture and a lot of energy aloft that it's going to wring out some heavy precipitation. Here is the HRRR, and today we have just kind of quiet weather, increasing clouds, and then you start to see some light greens and some light blues. That's about 5 in the morning, then about 6 or 7 in the morning. It starts off as rain. You can see the rain in the Hudson Valley and the Champlain Valley while it's snowing in the higher elevations of southern Vermont. Rain in far northern Vermont. Yeah, there's a rain snow line on both sides of this storm, and so it really picks up in intensity about maybe 8, 9 o'clock in the morning, somewhere around Mount Snow and Sunapee. Then I want to stop it right in the middle of the day here. I can't remember what time, sometime around lunchtime. And the blue is snow, any purple would be sleet. And so you have a rain snow line both on the south side and the north side. It's right in the beef of this system, north of the 995-ish and deepening low that's going to come right along the Massachusetts Turnpike. And when it comes down hard enough, the precipitation is going to be the form of snow pretty much to the base of the ski areas. And any villages down, say, in the Connecticut River Valley are probably going to get a little bit of slushy accumulation of snowing and raining with the temperature about 36 or 37 degrees. While you get up above 2,000 feet, now you're at about 32 degrees, and then above 2,000 feet, you get up to 3,000 feet. Now your temperature is in the upper 20s, and you're getting a drier consistency snow. So it's going to be a really dense, as we say, good base material. Keep this going. It's about a 12-hour system. So say it starts at Sunday River around 10 or 11, then it stops tomorrow night at about 10 or 11, and then it moves on, and you can see it may actually end as rain in a few spots, and then there'll probably be a lot of icy spots on Friday morning. So not a fun travel day tomorrow unless you like driving in the snow. If you're going to a ski area in southern New England, it's going to be just all rain. The south coast should miss the heaviest rain, should. And so if you tally it up, 12 hours times, let's call it an average of 3/4 of an inch of snow, and it's going to be a mix actually, per hour. So 0.75 inches times 12 hours, that's about an average of 9 inches of good base material, dense snow at approximately, call it 1,800 feet. You get above 2,500 feet, you're looking at 12 inches or more. And you get below 1,000 feet, and it's just a few inches of really slop. And that heaviest precip, I think it's going to be on a line from about Mount Snow to Sunapee to Sunday River. That's right where it's going to be mostly snow from that line and points north. And the wind is going to be coming in from the southeast at low levels of the atmosphere and from the west up high. That's really not favorable for a big snowstorm with low pressure to your north. And so I think there's going to be a shadow effect on the west side of the White Mountains, and the northern Green Mountains probably not doing as well as the southern Green Mountains. I wrote my blog for Jay, and I think I just said a few inches. Maybe we get 6 inches out of that. And even behind this system, it's not that cold. I'm going to show the 5-day for Stowe, Vermont, because that's where I want to go skiing, and I'm really not that into hiking. I want to ride a lift. And the snow reporters at Stowe say we need a day or two with a temperature below 28 degrees down around 1,800 feet near the base and below at the bottom of the mountain. And it's just not there. You don't have it until maybe Saturday, Sunday. So we're looking at probably not opening until early next week with top to bottom at Stowe. They want to have a good product, and you're going to be able to ride the groomers over it, even though Carl Weller shared this picture this morning. He says the mountain looks skiable, and it certainly does from your house, Carl, and it probably is above 2,000 feet, but the lifts go lower than that. And so are you going to hike for us? Are you going to do some recon? So calling it an average of 9 inches of snow at the ski areas. All right, next. All right, after that, let's go to the wider shot of the Euro. And there's our low coming right across southern New England tomorrow, and it keeps on moving, but we still have an upper level low to our north and low pressure to the north and high pressure to the south. So even though it's getting cold in the mountains. It's not that cold at lower elevations. I call it low barometer cold when it's much colder up in the sky, and that's very unstable, and that's going to produce a lot of lake effect snow. Now, the lake effect snow is going to come intense, but the temperature on the lee of the lakes is only going to be about 32, so that should be interesting to see how that adds up. And then next week, talk about these lows coming across the country and mostly dampening. The southeastern ridge is not popping back up like I thought it would. Monday, Tuesday, we're just in this northwesterly flow with some upslope snow and mostly dry near the coast. Temperature is going to be cold in the 30s for the most part, and only in the teens up in the tops of the mountains, or even single numbers. And then it gets a little more interesting Tuesday into Wednesday, and I'm going to stop at Wednesday at 7 p.m. This is a week from today, and look at that. It's snowing on Cape Cod, okay? So this is one run of the Euro, but there is a low there south of the benchmark. And with this kind of cold coming at southeastern Canada and that water so warm, this is not an unreasonable forecast that it could snow in southern New England or Cape Cod next Wednesday or Thursday. Keep it going now. We always talk about how it's always a Thursday with these storms. And there's a real good Alberta clipper. That Cape Cod was a clipper, and then here comes another one, and then I'm going to stop it right here at day 10. This is now next Friday at 7 p.m. And oh my goodness, look at those lines. There's about 1,000 millibar low. That's a deepening clipper with just pure Arctic air in New England. All those black lines are surface isobars. That's wind, if this is right. That's wind of 30 to 40 miles per hour. And then you see those blue lines. You see the 510. That's the thickness from the ground to 500 millibars, and 510 is Arctic air. Cold air is very dense, so the thickness comes down. And then 504, now we're talking record cold, and just over the border in southeastern Canada, that's a 498. That would do January 15th proud on how cold that would be. Record cold, and that kind of cold will cause your swamp to be safe for ice skating in like one day if that cold sticks around for a day or two. Every year I try and call for ice to be safe for skating on the swamp in December, and it's pretty much failed me for the last 10 years, so there will not be safe ice. And it probably won't be as cold as that just said. All right, we're at 12 minutes. Today is the day for peeling potatoes and butternut squash. What's your trick for peeling butternut squash? Do you parboil it or blanch it and prick it a little bit like Diane says? And the reason I'm still here and not on Cape Cod is because Brother Ed has taken over the brining of the turkey job. I thought I would have to get down there and have that turkey in the brine. We're going to do a brine, and we're going to have just a small gathering. Steve, can you look over here? Because we're trying to be cute right now. Thank you very much. Oh, just saw a bug. Is it a yellow jacket? And so yesterday, here's the end more. The weather is all done. Travel day, and I'm still going to do a post tomorrow morning, and that one should be in South Dennis. Yesterday, just watching the rain, saying, wow, is it supposed to rain this hard? Wow, was it supposed to rain this hard? And those ducks, I went down to try and pursue the ducks, but it was just so gray, I couldn't see the colors. But some of the ducks around here have a lot of white on their body and their head. And somebody said, Eric says, is that a golden eye duck? And I don't know, I can't see them right now, but thank you for your help trying to identify the different ducks. And I also wanted to share some of the viewer photos here. Pete in Dover, New Hampshire, yesterday, right as the rain ended, right as the sun went down, it came in underneath the cloud, the sunlight that is, for a beautiful rainbow. Thank you, Peter in Dover, sharing that on X. That's spend a lot of my time on X. All right. Next up, here it comes. There it is, warm air advection on our horizon. The clash of warm and cold right over New England tomorrow. Should be a really interesting weather day. Should be interesting. Here's the and more from yesterday. 10:10 a.m. Tuesday, November 26th. It's about to start raining. Been fun watching Steve kind of staring at the birds. Let's make a time lapse of the incoming rain and Steve pacing as the birds come and go from the bird feeder and the burning bush. And I've got some beautiful sky waves. Let's see how this works out. Steve, can you just stay outside for a little while longer? I'll come out and get him when it rains. Get a little closer here. Adjust. He wants to go in. Nope, you're staying out. 10:45 a.m. And boy, it just started coming down pretty good, didn't it, Steve? You want to go in? Yeah, I bet you do. It's all wet. Okay. So, want to watch Steve go in? Yeah. He really doesn't mind the rain that much. But I'm not going to torture my cat. And it's 43 degrees. All right. Let's see if we can watch how Steve goes in. Oh, man. It's hard to be the videographer. All right, Steve. Go ahead. Go ahead. You going to stop for a belly rub? No stopping for a belly rub. Going in the door. Don't torture him. He likes to stay out. Good things to do. Get a brine, a turkey, stuff like that. All right. No wind, which is nice. Nice drink of water. What drought? About 2:15. It's been raining now for about 3.5 hours, and we're picked up 0.26. So I'd say this is overachiever. Very happy that there's no wind. And these birds, I gotta know. I'm not thinking they're loons. I'm thinking there might be mergansers or buffhead. See that? Got a mosquito. Water on the lens. Let's go down there. See if we can't do some bird ID here as we all prep our birds to go in the oven. Yeah, nature is cruel. Focus. There we go. Try and set up the tripod without scaring the birds away. That's what I meant. All right, they're coming in. They were underwater for 15 seconds. At least. They look mostly black, but the other ones had a lot of white on their back and their head. Let's see if we can't get a little closer. Yeah, they're going the other way. Can't blame them. Big weatherman wearing red. Ringneck. They called ringneck mergansers. Merganser. I was hoping to get closer to those ones walking toward them, but they're paddling away from the water, away from the shore, out into the water. Black and white day. Probably not the best day for trying to see them, but at least there's no wind. Going in a little early today. That's good. Maybe take the rest of the week off. People allowed to do that? No ducks, but we got a big boat. And of course, I wait till last minute to harvest the rest of the tomatoes and peppers, and I'm getting soaked. It's raining harder than lighter. Now we're going for 0.3. So I got most of the stuff. Leave some dill. Got most of the tomatoes. Leave a couple sacrificial. And a wholesale pull of the lettuce, which I've been just doing piece by piece. There's a basil. And see what... celery, rather. Celery, when I say lettuce. Celery. What does celery look like? That's what celery looks like. Still some dry down there. Still some dry. So I've been taking the celery as I pleased throughout the season. Come on, focus. Get this bunch of celery. Try and keep it going inside the house. Celery. What's up, Doc? 3:30. I just turned on my camera, and approximately 40 ducks, all at the same exact time, went underwater right here. They're all back together, and they're all underwater. Whatever they're chasing is moving towards the east. I'm moving toward the south. But I say maybe 3 hours of light rain. I meant 5 of steady, moderate rain. 3:40, one more outdoor shower. Hoses are wrapped up. And we just had FROPA, frontal passage. Wind just picked up from the west-northwest. And our soaking wet flag is wrapped around the pole. Should straighten itself out. Wind is back from the west, which is best, except for not right now. It's miserable. It's drizzleable, and I am soaked. Thinking of you, Ralph. My last harvest of the season just happened today. I still have some green and red tomatoes, good eggplant, plenty of hot peppers, a couple of one bell pepper, a couple of sweet peppers, well, several actually. And I don't know if I'm gonna make New Year's and Christmas, but certainly making Thanksgiving. And also just shut down the water. Last outdoor shower of the season just happened, too. We'll get to the bottom of these ducks eventually, but for now, a time lapse. Till tomorrow.